We are learning the Sefer Pituchei Chotam with Rabbeinu Yaakov Avichatzira. Thank you for joining us this week. It is Pashas Chukas, and we're going to discuss the main Meriva, different perspective that I ever saw. And Vayimar Hashem al Moshe, Vel Aaron, Hashem says to Moshe and Aaron, Yad le'amantim bi. You didn't cause the Jewish people to believe in me, therefore, you will not bring in these people to the land that I told them you can't go to Eretz Yisrael. These are quarreling waters. Asher Ravu b'nei Yisrael Hashem, where the Klal Yisrael fought with Hashem, the Kaddish Bam, and he was sanctified there. So Rabbeinu Yaakov says, well, Avi, we're talking about, just to put in perspective, we're talking about Moshe and Aaron, so we're not like talking about them, the chait and the punishment. But there was an effect that Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to learn something from this. He wrote it in the Torah. There's an einish, says the Zayar, in Tikkun Zayar, that because of this episode, we forget our learning. When we learn Torah, there's shchicha, there's forgetting. And when there's forgetting of learning Torah, so that breeds machlekas. And part of the einish, the punishment of this episode, was that there will be machlekes in Torah. Take a look. Let's learn this piece of Zayar together. V'hai selas in Tikkun Zayar Tikkun Chaval. V'hai sela le'nafik mina elatipin ze'er sham. Only a little bit of water came out. V'kama machlekes al ilan tipin. Uman garimla hamayrim. There was so much machlekes, because of these drops, and who caused it? The Mayrim. The itmar behind kol Amir Allah b'nei Rabbi Chayiv Misa. Ubegin da shimun Mayrim. That's why it says, listen to the Mayrim, people that are Meir Halacha Shlei b'nei Rabbi. Beginai v'yach Moshe sasela. Because of them, Moshe hits the rock. B'matei with his stick, pa'amayim, twice. Listen to this. The imlai d'macha ba. If Moshe would not have hit the rock with the stick, Leihavu tarchin Yisrael v'tanoim v'amiroyin ba'iraisa debalpeh de'isela. There would not have been so much tircha. We would not have been worked so hard to remember what we learn. And he says that the stick represents Torah shebechsav, and the sela represents Torah shebalpeh. Ela itmar bayu dibart v'dibartem ala sela. Speak to the rock. And then it would have given out its water without any effort. Via miskayim bain, and it would have stayed with us. Vayilamdu oide v'gaimer. Vavinafik maya b'lei kusho machlekas upsak, and the water would have come out without any difficulty, without any machlekas, without the mayrim. Like the pasuk says, "Halakei devarei keishlam Hashem have shari b'pumayin di Yisrael." It would have flowed from the mouths of the Jewish people. The sela, that's what the rock is. Al samach. The idan shitin mesachtas, that's the 60 mesachtas. The hachi ihu sela al samach. So Rabbeinu Yaakov says what we see from the Zayar is that without this episode of Moshe hitting the rock, we would not have forgotten our learning. There would have been no machlekes in Klal Yisrael. Now, the Moshe was told. Remember, we wanted, why was Moshe told in the first place? Kachas amata, take the staff. If he wasn't meant to hit it, so what was supposed to happen? Why was he told to take it? He was told Kachas amata, then speak to the rock. Well, why take the staff if you speak to the rock? So Yaakov explains based on this Zayah. The mata representing Torah shebechsav, the sela that representing Torah shebalpeh. Moshe was supposed to bring the Torah shebechsav to Torah shebalpeh and speak using his mouth. That means that there was going to be a connection between the mata and the sela, not through hitting, but through speech. Not through hardship, not through toirach, hitting, but through speech. That meant that we would have been able to open up the Chumash, and we would have seen in the Chumash all of Torah shebalpeh. It would have been the natural flow. Instead, now they're separated, and that only comes through tircha. Now, this caused machlekes. Now, there are two types of machlekes. You can have a machlekes that's l'shem shamayim, and a machlekes that's not l'shem shamayim. You can have a machlekes when people stomp, quarrel in the street, they fight, you bump your car and you get upset at the people. Or you can have a machlekes which is looking for the truth, looking for the emes. When Chazal argued the Tanaim, the Hilga Tanaim and Amoraim, it was all a matter of trying to, so to speak, fix the Shechina. Teresh Peh, which is the Shechina. It was there, which, Rabbi Yaakov puts it in the word, it puts it like this. They were arguing which tachshit, which jewel, which gem fits better for the Shechina. How do we adorn, how do we beautify the Shechina? What's emes, what's the truth? That's what their machlekes was. Hasela, the word hasela. Akash Baruch Hu told him to speak to the rock. Hasela is 165 plus 4 for the letters and 1 for the kail. It gives us 170. Peh times 2, because we have Mishnah, which is Teresh Peh, and Gemara, which is Teresh Peh, is 170. That's the Sela. That's the rock. That is Teresh Peh. That was meant to be spoken to be able to connect the Mata, Teresh B'chsav and Teresh Peh, not through Teirach, not through hitting, but through speech. Moshe's einish is he doesn't get to go into Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is also a bechina of Teresh Peh. It's a bechina of Shechina, and therefore Moshe, who caused a division between Teresh B'chsav and Teresh Peh, was not zeichet to get into Eretz Yisrael. Therefore, he is told Lochein. Lochein is B'gematria 100, the same as Samach Mem, which is the Sitra Achra, which got involved. It was Lochein, because there was a division, there was a Bagami to the Shechina, to Teresh Peh. Because the Sitra Achra, the Samach Mem, got involved here, so you can't go into Eretz Yisrael. And that's what we said. The next verse says, Heima Mei Meriva. Therefore, because Samach Mem, Sitra Achra got involved, and there wasn't this Dibur Lasela, it comes through Tircha, so that causes Meriva, Mei Meriva, Heima Mei Meriva. Now we have Machlekes when we learn, we don't remember what we learned, and therefore there's Machlekes. But Asherovu B'nei Yisrael as Hashem. But here when Kal Yisrael argue, they're doing it l'shem shamayim. They're doing it to find the emes. They're doing it to find Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and the Meilav Yikadosh Baruch Hu comes to be a Kiddush Hashem. So we live in a post-hitting era, and therefore we have the tircha of learning Teresh Peh and the machlekes. We have to always keep in mind to learn lishma, to learn for the sake of finding the emes, and to be able to bridge that gap between Teresh B'chsav and Teresh Peh. Have an amazing Shabbos.